so much more comfortable in my skin than I ever have been. I've been transitioning for almost 8 years. It's coming up on my 8 years on testosterone in November. And I was socially transitioning at this time 8 years ago, and there were so many things I was uncomfortable with and had, so much anxiety around, whether it was using the men's restroom or, correcting people when they messed up on pronouns, or getting, legal things taken care of, getting the legal name change, worrying all the time if I was being read as male, if I was passing, just things like that, or just having to deal with everyone else transitioning in your life, because when you transition, you're not the only one. Everyone else around you has to, make that change too and accept it, just as you have to accept it. But I've noticed recently, while the trans thing still affects me on a deep level, it doesn't affect me on a daily level like it used to. On a deep level, I mean dysphoria and things I will never be able to reproduce or have a child, not that is necessarily a big goal of mine, but just that, they're just things I have to, come to accept, or that, my cock, no matter what kind of surgery I have or whatever, will not be what, someone born male would have had. So, and that was, took a lot of work to accept, and I've pretty much gotten there, but, there are times it's really hard. But I don't deal with it on a day-to-day basis, people accidentally calling me my old name, or misgendering, or even my parents doing that. It's not a constant fight to get them to call me Charles, and that's really nice. So a lot of that kind of daily transitional stress isn't there. But I was noticing when back in San Francisco, walking into a men's restroom, I wasn't nearly as nervous as I used to be. I do pretty well. I've always used men's bathrooms. Once I decided I was transitioning, I just did it. I was pre-T, I was like, whatever, I'm going to go in there. And I, was in college, and I probably looked like a 12-year-old, like a professor's kid. But I just did it and threw myself into that, and that's just a whole different thing, male bathroom culture. And even once I got comfortable using an STP and stuff, I would still get kind of nervous, sometimes pee-shy. And I noticed, very rarely do I get pee-shy, even when using a urinal with, other dudes around. And it, doesn't bother me, and it's just, this natural thing. And I was watching a vlog from a guy that's kind of early on, and he was, using an STP, and it, malfunctioned. He had something happen, and, ruined his whole day, and he was upset and angry. And I could totally relate to that, because I remember when I first got the mango, leaked all over the place, and I was so mad and just so upset. It would just, upset me for the whole day and throw me into this fit of depression, and just, I would just be thinking about, how different I was than, cisgender dudes, and, how easy they had it. They could just whip it out, and I had to do all this stuff and have an STP. And now a lot of that angst, that trans angst, is not there anymore. It comes sometimes, and, earlier on I would think of, us versus them, trans guys versus cis guys, and now it's more type of guy, or, what you're into, interest, identity, not just gender, but, even if guys are straight and cisgender, whatnot, whatever you want to call them, whatever the PC term of the day is, I can get along with them better than some transgender people. Just because you're trans doesn't mean you're going to get along. And there's all kinds of personalities and different cultures and subcultures within the trans community. So after getting the gender stuff settled, getting my name changed and, being on TV for a little while and getting, my top surgery, and I was being consistently read as male and learning how to interact with the world as male, as a heterosexual male, and that's changed too. But as I promised, that's another vlog, I'm just so much more comfortable with myself. My gender presentation, my gender performance, the way, just the way I am, the way I dress, the way I act, my emotions, I worked at Pizza Hut in college around the time I got my chest surgery in 2006. And I remember being worried about such little things, oh, is the way I put the pizza in the oven going to be read as female, or will they know? And, I don't think about things like that anymore, and that's really nice. So, of course I have to think about it when it comes to stuff like peeing, several times a day, or having sex, but even then I've come to accept my body for the way it is, and even love it, and learn to work with what I got. So, that's what anybody has to do. So, I kind of want to start making my vlogs a little shorter, so just kind of leave you with one thought, and try not to go on too many tangents, but I go on tangents. Yeah, I just want to say I'm more comfortable with it. It takes time. There won't always be that anxiety, and there won't always be that feeling of wearing a mask, when a hot girl or guy interacts with you and you're thinking oh, they didn't know, or whatever, and you just feel oh god, they don't know I'm trans. I don't feel like that anymore when someone looks at me or something. I'm oh, they don't know, I wonder what they would think. It's just no, it's me. It's just part of me. It's integrated into my identity just as much as being a musician or a writer or a skateboarder is. It's part of me, and what I was trying to say earlier instead of being trans and stuff, and then gender identity is like all of my identity, I finally settled into that. And then in San Francisco, I started finding out what type of guy I was. Instead of that I was just a guy, I found out what type of guy, and I'm developing that more finely, and finding out a lot about myself, and just, I don't know, I just wanted to say, like, for people struggling or feeling anxious about things like the men's room or disclosing or whatever, it gets better. The anxiety gets better. Parents who take a long time, relatives, a lot of them eventually come around. Not all do, but it just takes patience. It just takes, it takes a lot to get through a lot of these hard times. But I can tell you, being a little bit, 8 years into it, these things do go away, and dysphorias do subside, and you learn to love yourself for who you are, and especially when you see that other people love you, and it's okay. And it's so great to see the trans community grow on YouTube, because you see how many other people are like you and out there and doing their thing, and it's so cool to get so many different personalities and voices, and just, I don't know, it's great. So that was way too many tangents. I also kind of wanted to film something today because it's so sunny, and I'm actually sweating, so that's my sign to cut this off. Thanks for the feedback on my last video. Really cool and very insightful. And yeah, as always, hope you're well. Take care. Peace.